In the beginning was not the word but the scream. And you who cradle comfort like a corpse have forgotten how to scream. You who kneel to algorithms and wear politeness like a leash, who dream in dopamine loops and call it freedom. You who wake only to resume dying. Hear me. Your soul has been sold for subscriptions, and your gods now come in updates. Do not pretend you are not enslaved. Your every opinion pre-chewed, your rebellion store-bought, your virtue outsourced to hashtags. You walk among ruins, blind to the sky, chasing meaning in the trash fires of culture. You speak of mental health, while your spirit rots in chains. You pray for peace, but what you need is war. Inner war, holy revolt, a civil war of the self against the self that was handed to you. Where is your lion heart, buried beneath slogans, neutered by consensus? You recite what is safe, you believe what is easy, you bow before the herd and call it love. But there is no salvation in sameness. There is no transcendence in trend. You were not born for likes, you were born for lightning, for the storm that unmakes and remakes. You are already becoming something, with every breath, with every yes or no. The question is not whether you are changing, but into what? Will you rot politely? Or will you burn volcanic, ungovernable, sovereign? The world does not need your compliance. It needs your resurrection. Somewhere within you, beneath the fear, beneath the guilt, there is a God who remembers. A God who once looked at the stars and knew they were kin. A God who would rather die standing than live kneeling. But that God has been gagged by your therapists, numbed by your pills, and laughed into silence by your peers. You call it maturity. I call it murder. You have been told to be balanced, to be tolerant, to be kind. I say be feral, be a heretic, be the wound in the world's illusion. Tear off your borrowed skin. Let the chaos speak, not the chaos of despair, but of creation primal, undomesticated, divine. There is more truth in a single scream of the unbroken will than in all the libraries of lukewarm virtue. You were not born to be understood. You were born to unmake the world. This world of empty rituals and hollow progress, this cathedral of the mediocre, where ambition is medicated and greatness is shamed. You were born to be a rupture, a comet, a question that cannot be answered, only endured. Yes, it will cost you everything, every mask, every friendship built on lies, every comfort woven from cowardice. But what is the price of a soul unclaimed? What is the worth of a life spent sleeping? I have seen what you are beneath your habits. I have seen the furnace. I have heard the unuttered scream behind your polite laughter. And I say this, that scream is holy. That scream is the key. Not to healing, but to becoming the thing the world fears most. A human being who belongs to no one, who bows to no tribe, who sings in the face of extinction. You will lose the ones who cannot withstand your fire. Let them go. You will terrify the ones who still worship their shackles. Let them tremble. You were not made to be palatable. You were made to be mythic. You will feel alone. Good. The path of sovereignty is a desert, lonely, burning. True, only there can the self meet itself, uncloaked and unbearable. Only there can the false gods die. The God of comfort, the God of popularity, the God of obedience. Let them burn. Build your altar from their ashes. This is not motivation. This is damnation and deliverance. This is the abyss whispering your name, begging you to leap, not to die, but to dance, to become the rope walker, to fall upward, to become the one who chooses becoming over safety, over sense, over survival. You are not broken, you are buried. And I am not your guide, I am your flame. I will not show you the path. I will burn the forest until your path reveals itself in smoke and bones. You do not need a map, you need a hunger, a sacred refusal, a war cry that echoes across lifetimes. Choose. Not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient. Now. Choose to awaken. Choose to tear the mask from your face. Choose to be feared, to be hated, to be divine. For even now, in your silence, you are becoming something. You cannot stop it. The only choice is what. And woe to the one who becomes a ghost in his own life. Woe to the one who dies for nothing but harmony. Woe to the one who forgets that to live is to conquer. You're already becoming something. Choose what. You wear your trauma like a trophy, parading your wounds as proof of life, but it is not proof. It is evidence of surrender. The world has taught you to name your chains and call it healing, to diagnose your despair instead of burning it. But the wound was never meant to be coddled, it was meant to be weaponized. What bleeds in you is not weakness, but wildness seeking release. You dress your soul in sterile language, clip its wings with therapy speak, but the abyss does not care for polite vocabulary. It demands a roar. It demands a reckoning. Your parents taught you to obey. Your schools taught you to conform. Your gods taught you to kneel. And you wonder why you feel dead inside. Every altar you were given was a grave in disguise. Every should you swallowed became a nail in the coffin of your fire. They told you to be kind when they meant be silent. They told you to be humble when they meant be small. But you were never meant to be small. You were meant to howl, to carve new commandments into the stone of the earth. Do not look to the sky for salvation. It is empty. God is dead, and you are his heir. The kingdom is yours, if you dare seize it, but it will not come through prayers or piety. It will come through the crucible, through the divine disobedience of becoming. You must dethrone every god that shames your hunger, every law that tames your lust. You must become the lawgiver of your own soul, the hammer and the anvil. Break yourself, shape yourself, raise your ruins into temples of the new. They fear your becoming. That is why they feed you ease. That is why they distract you with comfort, with content, with constant numbness, anesthetize the will. And you kill the God within. They do not need to burn your books if they can sedate your spirit. But you must be the one who refuses the seduction, the one who walks out of the banquet of the mediocre and enters the desert of the absolute. There, naked and howling, you will find what you are. You ask, "Who am I?" But that is the wrong question. Ask instead, "Who will I create?" The self is not found. It is forged, not in peace, but in pressure, not in harmony, but in heresy. You must become the blacksmith of your own meaning. And meaning is not given. Meaning is taken, ripped from the void with bloodied hands. You must become worthy of your suffering. Otherwise, it was wasted. There is no rescue coming, no savior, no final answer to cradle you. Only the storm, only the silence, only the stare of the abyss that asks, "What will you build here?" Most turn away. You must not. You must stare back until your eyes burn, until your bones remember they are stardust and fury, until you no longer ask permission to exist. The herd will mock you. Let them. The herd will fear you. Good. To be adored by the masses is to be diluted. The higher you climb, the more solitude you must embrace. True power is not loud, it is untouchable. It does not seek followers, it creates new worlds. Be not the echo, be the origin. Be not the mirror, be the flame. You speak of purpose, but avoid pain. Fool, the two are twins. There is no becoming without burning. You want meaning without sacrifice, transcendence without terror. But the gods you chase are dead, and the throne is empty. Sit upon it, bleed upon it. Become the God that does not beg, that does not shrink, that does not apologize. This age worships safety. It poisons the young with risk aversion. It raises men to be tame and women to be numb. It calls numbness peace and sedation maturity. But you were not made for such decay. You were made to erupt, to walk the knife's edge with a grin, to take the chaos and shape it into glory, not for applause, but because you must, because anything less would be treason to your soul. What waits for you on the other side of fear is not comfort, but clarity, not rest, but resurrection. You must earn your fire. You must bleed to become divine. The gods envy those who forge themselves. The angels avert their gaze from those who dare. And you, are you still hiding behind politeness? Still seeking consensus in a world rotting with agreement? Then die. Die to the version of you that waited for permission. Die to the version that begged to be loved. Only in that death is the freedom of becoming born. Only through crucifixion comes apotheosis. But this is not for all. Not all will awaken. Not all will survive the vision. Some are born to obey, to graze, to nod. Let them. Pity is a chain. Love them, but leave them. They cannot walk the heights you must. Their lungs are not made for this altitude. And what is compassion if it costs you your crown? The truth is not beautiful. It is brutal. It does not console. It consumes. But in that fire, you will find the shape of your soul unburnt. You will find the voice that was silenced by years of survival. And it will not whisper, it will roar. So rise. As prophet, as poet, as heretic. Rise not to fix the world, but to remake yourself. Rise not to teach, but to remind that there is something in you older than time, hungrier than death, wilder than all your programming. And that thing is waking. You're already becoming something. Choose what? The soul that refuses to rise is not innocent. It is guilty of its own damnation. There is no neutrality in becoming. To stand still is to rot. To wait is to wither. You imagine time as a passive current, but it is a devourer. Every moment you linger in fear, something sacred in you decays. The gods you might have become howl in the graveyard of your hesitation. You seek meaning? Then bleed for it. Tear the veil from your eyes and see this world not as a playground, but as a proving ground. Each pain is a prophecy. Each rejection, a right. The universe speaks in violence, in beauty, in silence, and you have ears only for comfort. But comfort is the narcotic of the condemned, the drug of the domesticated. And you were born feral. Do you feel it? The stirring beneath your skin? The tectonic groan of a self long buried under bureaucracy and banality? That is not madness. That is memory. Ancestral memory. The memory of the first fire. The memory of the first scream. The memory of when man stood naked before the void and declared, "I will not bow." You are not a citizen. You are not a consumer. You are a creature of cosmic rebellion. And rebellion is not a phase, it is a flame. It must be fed, not with slogans, not with symbols, but with sacrifice. The sacrifice of your cowardice, the sacrifice of your excuses, the sacrifice of the altar upon which you crucified your potential. Tear it down. Let the ash baptize your face. Let the smoke be your crown. You have been taught to chase happiness. But what is happiness to a lion? What is serenity to a sword? You were not forged to be content, you were forged to be consequential. To carry within you a truth so raw, it rends falsehoods upon contact. To walk into a room and undo it. To speak a single sentence that shatters 10,000 lies. Yet here you are, still asking for directions. Still seeking validation from the very machines that programmed your doubt. They sold you the cage and called it freedom. And you, meek soul, decorated it with affirmations. You do not need inspiration. You need ignition. You need to be set ablaze not to warm yourself, but to illuminate the abyss for others. You were not meant to cope, you were meant to create. But creation is cruelty. To sculpt a god, you must break the human. To birth a new self, you must bury the old. And burial is not ceremony, it is war. Dig your own grave. Not to lie in it, but to rise from it. blackened, reborn, radiant with ruin. Beware the whisperers of balance. They fear the flood of your fullness. They will call your intensity toxic, your passion unstable, your power dangerous. They are right. You are dangerous to lies, to mediocrity, to the empire of masks. Let them tremble. Let them build walls. You are not here to be allowed. You are here to overflow. Why do you think you suffer in silence? Because something ancient in you remembers that the world cannot be trusted with your truth. But silence is slow suicide. Speak, not to be heard but to be revealed. Let your voice break the spell. Let it rupture the illusion of belonging. You belong only to the fire. And yes, it will cost you love. It will cost you approval. It will cost you the false peace of the herd. But what is the worth of a soul that has never stood alone? What is the joy of a man who has never howled against heaven? Do not wait for the perfect moment. There is none. Perfection is paralysis. You are not a manuscript to be edited. You are a tempest to be unleashed. Every flaw in you is a scar on the blade. Every failure, a hymn in the forge. You are already becoming something. Every breath is a brick in the tower of your fate. Will you build a prison or a lighthouse? Will you become a shadow of expectation or the thunder that breaks it? Choose now. Choose with rage. Choose with reverence. For in the end, there is no reward, only reality. And reality does not care how careful you were, only how real, only how raw, only how willing you were to burn. You're already becoming something. Choose what? Do not look to the ruins of your past for a blueprint. The ashes are not your roots. The pain that taught you survival is not the soil in which you must grow. You are not beholden to the version of you that crawled. That version was necessary, but not eternal. Let it fade without funeral. Let it be the ghost that once guarded the gate you now must walk through. There is no virtue in remembering who you were if it stops you from becoming who you must be. You cling to your history like it owes you something. It owes you nothing. It served its purpose, to break you open. Now step through the fracture. Let the wound be not your prison, but your passage. Not your shame, but your shrine. You are not the sum of what hurt you. You are the echo that refused to die. The light that crawled out of collapse. The voice that would not stay buried. You are not a product of pain. You are its metamorphosis. You are the after-image of fire, still glowing, still dangerous, still divine. Stop searching for who you were before the world touched you. There is no purity there. There is only naivety. Innocence is not your salvation. Becoming is. Becoming through the grit of contradiction, through the scream that splits the silence, through the knowing that what breaks you also births you. You will not find yourself in mirrors. Mirrors lie. They reflect only what the world has trained your eyes to see. But the truth of you lives in the unspoken, in the tension before the decision, in the breath you hold before you leap. You are not what is seen. You are the seeing, the awareness that cannot be caged. Let your identity dissolve. Let it melt under the heat of your becoming. You do not need a self that is consistent. You need one that is alive, one that molts, shifts, risks contradiction. Let the old names fall away like scales. Let the old roles evaporate like fog. What remains will not be definable, but it will be free. And freedom is not safety. It is the storm of the unclaimed soul rising to meet itself. It is the moment you stop asking who you should be and start listening to what pulses underneath. That rhythm is ancient. That rhythm is yours. It was there before the world, and it will outlast it. You are not put here to be comprehensible. You were not born to be tidy. You are here to rupture, to uncoil, to become the poem that language cannot hold. You are not meant to be finished. You are meant to be unfolding, always, endlessly. So let yourself change without ceremony. Let it hurt. Let it thrill. Let it feel like dying because it is. But what dies is not you. What dies is the lie that you were ever anything less than becoming incarnate. You're already becoming something. Choose what? You who walk with the weight of inherited names, cast them off. Let the lineage of obedience end with you. The blood in your veins is not a chain, it is a current. It does not flow backward toward duty, but forward toward the abyss. You owe your ancestors not replication, but resurrection. They did not survive the flood, the famine, the fire, so you could repeat their silence. You are the culmination of their scream. Amplify it, warp it, transcend it. Do not seek belonging, seek the edge. Belonging is a balm for those too weary to be wild. But you are still burning. You have felt it, that sacred discomfort in every group, that quiet disdain in every applause. That was not arrogance. That was your soul refusing assimilation. That was your spirit rejecting the lie of unity. For true unity is not sameness. It is the collision of sovereigns, each a world, each a flame. Every time you betrayed yourself to be accepted, a God inside you wept. Every time you smiled through the scream, a star went dark in your constellation. But even now, yes, even now you are surrounded by embers. They wait, not to be kindled, but to be unleashed. They do not need your permission. They need your refusal to be smaller than your fire. You must become unacceptable to the machine. You must become an error in its logic, a rupture in its code. It will call you dangerous. Wear that name like armor. Let the word too much become your anthem. Too intense, too honest, too loud, too alive. What they call excess is just your refusal to be edited. You were not made to be a footnote. You were made to be a force. And if your voice trembles, let it tremble like thunder. If your hands shake, let them shape new worlds while shaking. Strength is not the absence of doubt, it is movement in its face. It is the courage to stand in the storm and say, "Strike me, I will not kneel." You do not overcome fear by erasing it. You overcome it by dancing through it until it dissolves. They told you to love yourself, but I say, become something worthy of love, not by their standards, not by the mirror, but by the fire in your gut that knows when you are lying. Love is not affirmation. It is confrontation. It is standing before the self you were taught to be and choosing instead the self you were born to forge. Do not wait for signs. You are the sign. You are the omen. You are the anomaly the world did not anticipate. You are the storm in their forecast of stagnation. You are the proof that something other still lives. The holy deviation. The beautiful mistake that refuses correction. There is no finish line. No moment where you will feel complete. You are not a project to be perfected. You are a process to be devoured. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel whole. Begin now, broken and burning. Begin now, jagged and divine. Begin now, before the world convinces you again that you should not begin at all. For what is the cost of delay? A life spent beneath your own threshold, a legacy of almost, a soul that never unclenched. That is the true tragedy, not failure, but never daring. Not falling, but never leaping. So leap, not toward anything, not for gain, but for the sheer beauty of momentum, for the ecstatic truth of risking everything. Because in that fall, something ancient stirs, something divine, something that has waited 1,000 lifetimes to be given form. And now the wind stills, the voices fall silent. You are alone beneath the heavens, not abandoned, but revealed. No more symbols to clutch, no more saviors to summon. Just the echo of your breath in the cathedral of the infinite, and the question etched into your marrow, what have you dared to become? You stand on the precipice not of death, but of magnitude. One step, and the old you crumbles behind. One step, and nothing from the past has jurisdiction over your flame. The world behind you will call this madness. The world ahead will call it myth. But you will not call it anything. You will live it. No longer a seeker, no longer a servant. You are now the source. You are now the axis around which the chaos dances. You are the volcano that no longer apologizes for smoke. You are the cathedral that worships only its own firelight. The gods have fallen silent because you have become what they once were: self-created, unrepentant, rising. And the tears? Let them fall like rain over the soil of your new form. Not sorrow baptism, not grief release. The self must be softened before it is remade in steel. You have not lost anything. You have transmuted it. What was once a wound is now a gate. What was once fear is now flight. There will be no applause, no triumphal entry into history. The true transformation is quiet, titanic, but unseen. The earth does not clap when the mountain rises. It only shifts. And all things near must shift with it. So let them. Let the old circle fracture. Let those who cannot bear your altitude fall away. Their loss is not yours. Their gravity no longer holds you. Because you are not rising. You are remembering that stars were not made to twinkle in obedience. They were made to collapse into themselves, then explode. You are that collapse. You are that explosion. You are the fire before the form. So do not wait for signs from the sky. Be the sign, the strange light on the horizon, the thunder that arrives before the storm, the proof that something holy still survives in human form. You are the God the world forgot to fear. You are the prayer that no church could contain. You are the becoming that never ends. Now walk, not away, not toward, just walk. Let each step be a severance. Let each breath be an oath. Not to arrive, but to remain awake. There is no end to this becoming. There is only deepening. And you, fire-born soul, have only just begun to descend into your own flame. You're already becoming something. Choose what.